Welcome to Season 2 of Strengths on Fire, the Great Strengths Debate.
Think you know Clifton's strengths? Think again.
This season, we're breaking down the biggest myths
Challenging conventional wisdom.
and showing you how strengths actually show up in leadership, life, and the messy middle of real work.
Sarah, you want to light these strengths on fire?
Let's light it up! Oh, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hello.
I can't tell you what a beautiful day in the neighborhood it is. I've got 70 hot air balloons outside of my window right now.
That is so much cooler than the nothingness of suburbia that I have outside my window.
Simmer down. I'm not a morning guy.
Wonderful.
And at 3:30 in the morning, they start announcing and doing this because we do glow shows before. It's called the Great Reno Balloon Race. It's like a 50-year tradition. But I live on the park.
To live in a bigger city, to not live in the little small town of middle America.
I live on the park where they do this, and I'm just like, oh man, could you keep it down just for me, right? So different. You and I joked about early riser versus night owls. My wife's an early riser. She lives for this event. I'm of that mindset. I've seen it once. It's all good. I'm out.
Seen it once, don't need to see it again.
I'm good.
I'm with Renee. I'm an early riser. I would be all about it. But
and with your kids, it would be phenomenal to walk them over.
Yes. Oh, the kids would love it.
Yeah, we have one granddaughter whose birthday is the beginning of September. And while she was growing up, we kept telling her this was for her birthday every year.
Oh,
and
my birthday is also the beginning of September. It was just
correct.
Last week. This week.
Yeah,
it was this week.
But,
oh my God, it was this week. I'm 39.
It was.
But if you were wondering, I'm not 39. I'm 45. I always encourage my friends to lie older. Women should never lie younger. First of all, who wants to be 29? No. Second of all, if you tell everyone you're 5 to 10 years older than you are going to get so many compliments because they're going to be like, oh my God, you look great. Like, what's your skincare? Like, this is incredible. So hot tip for all the listeners, lie older. If you're going to lie about your age, lie older.
Well, plus I just learned you're an autumn. So
I'm an autumn. Yes, if you were wondering what my colors are. Okay, but I actually have an important question for you today, Bill.
I am ready.
If someone only remembered one thing about working with you, what would you hope that it was?
Of change.
Okay, say more.
And only in that, again, my number 2 being a developer. And I pointed this out to a previous employer of mine. If you want to know everything about me, just listen to Developer on season 5 of the Gallup Strengths podcast. Sorry for the light change. There's a balloon passing between me and the sun.
Remember, most people are listening.
I just saying. So, for our 5 viewers, right, on YouTube.
Right.
So, and I said, if you want to know me, just listen to that one because it really describes how I fuel on watching people change, modify, get better about who they are and what they do. And getting them there is like that race car for me, that nirvana. So once I see it and once they acknowledge it and then they see how excited I am about it, I just hope that positive change is something they take away from that and think, I could use more of that. And I find that really not only great for me because it's very true to the Gallup definition of strengths fueling you and what you do well, but it is also so changing to them when they feel it, step into it, and they're like, I want more of that. I want to keep moving, and I want to talk more about mine, and I want to know that feeling. So how about you? What would it be?
Really similar. I mean, I think I want people to remember the way they felt when we were working together, very similar to what you were saying. I think that's the main thing people remember when you work with them is how they felt. And I want them to feel empowered, emboldened, and like excellence is within their reach. Like, I think, a lot of coaches come on here. We know a lot of coaches that say, I am not your cheerleader. I am going to help push you. And I think that there are certain people that need that. There's certain seasons where you need that. I have no hate towards that kind of coaching. I need that. But because of my talents, that positivity, that woo, that harmony, I am an inherent cheerleader. Now, I think I can also push people because I can build them up and I can push them to be more. But I want them to feel that their excellence is within their reach. You know, I want them to feel empowered that they're going to get there. And I hope that when they work with me, whether it's one-on-one or in a big group, they leave feeling like, oh my God, I can reach this.
Wow. Well said. And just to fuel the conversation, I will tell you, I will always remember working with you on a podcast.
Oh,
And feeling
I
inspired.
was going to say, and how does it make you feel?
It's feeling inspired and pushed and
Feeling
all of the
nervous.
good ways.
What is this person going to say and or sing today?
Sing. Oh, yes. The great singing debate with Sarah. If our regular listeners heard a very fun cold open on the last episode that Sarah
Well, it
was
would have
like,
been a few. From the time they listened to this,
that's
it was
true.
a few
There's
ago.
couple
so.
back. Yeah, that's true. So,
Yes, I apologize to everybody.
shit.
But today we are so excited and thrilled because today we have with us Stasi Grenfell, and she has been a coach of mine. She is a local business owner. She has got businesses coming out of her eyes. I'm so excited. She is here today to talk about what's the best strength to build a business. And is there anyone better to have on the podcast today than to talk about strengths and business? I've been so fortunate to work with Stasi, both as her being my coach and me being her coach and working with her team at Victorous. So Stasi, welcome to Strengths on Fire.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on the podcast.
Great. So what I want you to do first is I want you to give everyone a little intro, little background about who you are, what's important to you, what businesses you be building, and then also run through your strengths for our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Stasi Grenfell, as she introduced. I have 4 children, 3 boys and a little girl who was born just this past year. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2017 when I started a small business consulting group. I came from a background in management and consulting, and I worked for a different firm. And I was just like, why don't I just do this on my own? Like, I don't need to be a part of an organization. And it just allowed me flexibility to be a mother, start our family, and just have a little bit more control over my existence as it pertains to my career. So I started then and then kind of continued to get the itch to open more businesses.
As you consulted a bunch, you were like, hey, you know what? Let me show you how that works. Right?
Yeah. And honestly, when I started the consulting firm, I started it with the intention of potentially investing and like getting involved in other businesses. I have many passions, and I personally was a student athlete growing up and went to college for softball. So when I had my babies, movement kind of became a foreign thing for me. So after my first birth, I really struggled getting back to moving. And so this is kind of where the second business idea came from. I started training with someone that was specialized in prenatal postpartum fitness training. And so through that process, she and I kind of worked up this new idea to open an all women's strength training facility. So that's where Victorous was born. And that concept changed my life. And so pretty much everything that I've built since then has been centered around providing quality resources in women's preventative health and just healthcare in general. So it has expanded from just being one little brick and mortar here in Lincoln, Nebraska to 6 locations. We're a franchisor, so we can actually sell franchises to other aspiring business owners. And then we have a telehealth clinic, and we just launched an app. So we are in the prototype phase of developing software that pretty much ties in all women's healthcare data into one platform and provides meaningful AI insights and resources to women all over the world. So that's kind of the high-level view of my background. Values, I value my family more than anything. Family is everything to me. I spend the most of my free time with my kiddos. Obviously, with 4 kids, it's kind of crazy. We're very heavily involved in sports. And obviously, just providing resources to women, like that is kind of the cornerstone in my life's mission. I feel like I was put on earth to just elevate women in a very unique way. And, you talked about, answering that question earlier. The one thing that I would hope that people remember working for me is that they were able to make an impact working for the companies that I lead. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
they
Well,
probably do.
how about your top 10? Can you run down what your
Oh,
top
gosh.
10 strengths are?
I don't know if I have them memorized, but I'll do my very
Dude,
best. Sarah,
I
you know
you might
also
what?
have
have
to
them
help
in
me.
front of me,
We
so
we got you. We got your back. So go right ahead.
Ideation, strategic, achiever, competition, relator, activator, individualization
The best
is in
strength.
there somewhere.
yep.
Yes.
You also have futuristic, belief, and self-assurance in your top 10.
Perfect. There we
That
go.
was a really good memorization. I'm
Did
very
good.
proud. I'm very
She
proud.
did do good. Oh, really
I knew
good.
I was pretty heavy green. I do know that. Green and
Yep.
orange.
A lot of green. So, in relation to today's debate question, right? Today we're talking about what is the best strength to build a business. It seems you are the perfect guest to have on. Total number of businesses you own. We had this discussion pre-show.
Yeah, so technically I personally have 7, and then my husband, he runs a restaurant, his family, and so he has ownership in I think 5. So
So when it comes to opening businesses and having an idea of a small business mindset, starting from a small business consultant, moving on to a franchise model, you might be the ultimate guest to talk about best strengths to build a business. Would that seem fair?
I suppose
I am thinking you're there. My first question to you is though, when you were in small business consulting versus where you are now, was there a change? Was there a pivot in what strength you felt was really critical to you in those roles?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like in the consulting space, the activator in me and some of the relational strengths that I have, I feel like I utilized a lot more. I mean, I definitely utilize those in management as well. But if you're speaking to like building a business, I do feel like the more strategic strengths, like ideation, strategic, futuristic, all of those, I think I would say I lean more on when I'm building. But really, I think that if you're consulting and you're helping someone build from the ground up, like they may have an idea, but you still have to help them strategize. So I think I have to use them all for both. Because if you are consulting and helping support someone build from the ground up, there's just so much that goes into it. You're pretty much going through the process with them.
So
Absolutely.
you're going with strategic being the ones nowadays that are a little more aligned to your vision and where you're going. My wife right now listening to this episode is just smiling dramatically and laughing at me from wherever she's sitting because my wife is the strategist in the group. So thank you for clearing the waves today and designating that component for me. I like that. Go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense because I think Activator is an influencing theme. And so not only do people with Activator like to get started now, but they can really encourage other people to get started now. And I know from the business owners I've worked with too, is a lot of times people want to make things perfect before they do it. They're like, oh, once I get my website up, then I can start doing it. And so I imagine your Activator can get people like, what if you sold it now? What if you had a client before your website's up? Like you can infuse that like momentum, right? Because it is an influencing theme of like, no, move now. Where I could see, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you're in the stage you're at now, we're building these businesses. Of course, I'm sure there's still some of that you have to implement, but I also imagine you do have to be a lot more strategic and maybe can't get the cart in front of the horse all the time. And so it's like, okay, let's first use that ideation strategic about what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? What is the plan? And not just like push go now just because of the level of businesses that you have. And I'm sure then there's just going to be a bajillion moving pieces. Is that fair?
It's very fair. And I think it's definitely a delicate balance because, and I can kind of allude to an example right now. So we're building a clinic in our space, and there's been a lot of ideation behind it. The gals that I'm working with are nurse practitioners, so they're very, very detail oriented, empathetic. They want things to be very perfect before they deliver, right? They want to have like all the nuts and bolts in place. And I am very aware that that does need to happen. Processes and procedures are very important. Protocols are important. But I think the challenge with this process, we're doing a pilot right now, and it's not perfect. And so having their feedback and like there's a lot of hesitation and like I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm like because it's new, and so really just understanding that like
Weird.
you got to just get started sometimes, and there sometimes has to be the cart before the horse to get that momentum like you spoke to, Sarah. And I think that just recognizing that business is not black and white, and that it's going to be ever changing, and that process is in procedures manual, so to speak, is a living document. It's something that's going to shift and change, and strategy and ideation will change as well. So,
Wow.
Now, I am curious about, you've got achiever and competition. So achiever is that executing theme that likes to get stuff done. Sometimes they're the list maker, like how much can I accomplish in a day? Competition is that wanting to win, wanting to be the best, wanting to put the best out there. How do you feel like those two themes, either separately or together, have influenced the businesses that you have built?
well, that's a great question. I think resilience is such a huge part of success, and I feel like achiever is very much tied to that resilience piece. And also competition, right? Like you're gonna win and you're gonna lose in business, and you go into business knowing that. And so I think both of those strengths really drive that resilience piece, because if you're going to have failures, right? Like you're going to fall flat on your face. And your ability to pick yourself back up, I think has a direct tie to the competition trait and the achiever trait, because you obviously want to win and you want to get the job done. And so even with a failure, those two strengths are really driving your driving force to be able to do that.
Now, do you think, I think that is a really mature use of those themes, being able to see that you will fail, because I think a raw use of, especially of competition, can be like, I will win at all costs, and if I fail, then like I'm done, I'm destroyed, like I don't want to do it. Have you seen those strengths grow or change over the years? Like when you were younger, did you have that resilience, or was it something that you had to build and grow within to that achiever competition component?
It's definitely evolved over time. I would say win at all costs was like definitely ingrained in my brain, especially having been an athlete, but the way that I look at it now and how I even coach some of my clients is, when you go to bat, a 300 batting average is pretty darn good, right? That's 3 out of 10, 33%. Like that's not that great.
Right.
That means you failed the remaining 6 times, right? So like just recognizing that, you are going to, I think over time I had failures, and I recognize, okay, well, I can come back from this. What do I have to do to adjust and come back better? And so I think that I really do utilize ideation and strategy to come out of that. And it's interesting over time. Like failing, and then obviously personal things that happen in your life that require you to make adjustments in your business too. It's been an interesting ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would absolutely probably imagine it, especially with that many businesses. But touching on Sarah's point, I think expanding that just a little bit, sometimes do you get a little competitive between the multiple businesses that you own? Or let's look at it a different way. Do you think sometimes competition between you and your husband's businesses, or you and your husband, sparked up and has changed over time? I see you smiling, so there's something good going on there. I am curious, how do you tame that competition monster? Because Sarah brought it up in such a great way, and I think it can be viewed as a negative depending on how it's used, no matter how mature it comes across sometimes. So how does that work for you?
Gosh, that is a loaded question for me because I
Yeah.
am
Well,
ultra competitive.
yeah.
So my husband and I mean, like I would say that our relationship was built off of competition. Oh, that's so terrible to say, but we both were like very much workaholics into our career, and we used to go back and forth and tease each other about how much we worked. And I think that that's what made us relatable to one another. As we have grown together, I still think sometimes like that the competition piece between one another, because he's pretty competitive too, and so are our children. Shocker. I think it has actually been detrimental at times because we push ourselves to the point of almost burning out, and I don't think that that's necessarily a healthy thing.
Yeah. In fairness,
so
Stasi, if you had said it's never been a problem, I'd be like, really? We should talk coaching some more. So sure,
No.
go on.
Oh yeah. And I think too, like this diversification and having multiple different businesses, it's a good thing, but it creates additional challenges because there is so much, sometimes it gets overly complicated, and that is part of the competition piece. I wouldn't say, like you had alluded to, the different businesses competing with one another. We don't ever really look at it like that. I think it's just the whole, like thinking of the whole body of work and like what goes into it. I think that that's where maybe it shows up the most, especially in my relationship.
Smart.
Yeah, yeah. I also feel like your futuristic must play a role in this, because I feel like you can see sort of the forest through the trees of what you're working towards. I really love what you were saying about competition and like knowing you have to fail more. I also have a son who's super competitive, and it's really funny to see it. It's actually terrible. It's not funny at all. It makes me insane because he cannot lose to save his life. He literally will crumble on the floor if he loses a game of Jenga. Like, it is embarrassing. And so we always, we never let him win. We're like, he has to lose. And I feel like I'm constantly telling him, you will lose more than you will win, even if you're the best at what you do, right? Like, you will. It's just, you have to take a lot of shots to make a lot of shots, which means you're going to miss a lot. And getting him to realize that is really hard. And so I do not have competition, so it's been a real masterclass on the competitive people and like that deep-seated need to win. And like seeing it come out of people, like I can see how it is an advantage and also could be just like a motivation killer at times as well.
Oh, it is. And we're going through the same thing with my oldest too. Very competitive. Very interesting story. We were in the car on the way to I think a flag football game, and the boys were in the car, and Emmerich, our oldest, was like, "Why do we play so many sports?" I was like, you like sports. You make everything a game. Like, you very much enjoy this. Like, but then, we went into the whole, like, ideology behind, like, playing for a team and winning and losing and failure and all of that. And it just clicked for him. Like, it was really interesting to, like, he didn't tie competition to sport. And he was just like very curious about like, well, why do we do this? Like, what am I learning from this aside from just moving my body? And so it's just interesting to see. And again, like, even getting my kids to do things, like I have them race up the stairs to go get their shoes or whatever, like gamifying things for my children because of their strong competition is definitely a strategy that I take quite often.
The gamification, smart, strong. So, yeah, go ahead, Sarah. I'm going to go in a different direction. So if you're staying here, I don't want to go there yet.
Well, I was just going to bring it back to our question of what's the best strength to build a business. And I have to admit my own bias here. I totally do feel like this is a trick question. And it's funny because a few years ago, was presenting at entrepreneurial days thing. And I was talking about strengths. And I had the first question someone asked me is like, so what's the best strength to have if you want to build a business? And everyone in the room is wanting to build businesses. And I was like, I don't think there is a best strength. I think that it's using the strengths you have to inform the type of entrepreneur you're going to be. And I think I would be curious from you, Stasi, if you agree with that, not only based on yourself, but because you coach business owners. Like, how do you see people of different strengths, makeups, attack or proceed with building businesses?
I 100% agree with you. And when I was navigating through, like just looking through the 34, and there are so many different combinations of strengths that I think can lead to a successful business owner, a successful entrepreneur. I also want to point out that businesses are not built by one person. And so it does take a magnitude of different strengths to be successful. And so though, having strategy, having vision, having grit, having resilience, like all of those things are really, really important in building a business. It's not built off one back. So just recognizing that, like, yes, having leadership skills and, having a hierarchy of command is important for any business. I still do believe that, like, it takes all strengths to actually make it work.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's making me think, like, say you're a business owner and you have a lot of relationship building themes, right? I could see somebody thinking like, well, I'm mostly blue. How am I going to build a business? But I think about, and of course, again, yes, they can have other people that influence them. But I think about, like, if you have a family that you're trying to support and you're like, I have so much empathy and so much individualization, and you're using those in your business to build it, but you could have that grit because you're like, I can't let down these people in my house. Like, these people are counting on me. So I could see those relationship building themes, not only maybe for sure impacting you in the business itself, but when we talk about things like grit and resilience, maybe it's not coming from competition and achiever and strategic, but it's coming from the empathy and the individualization and the developer that you have, because like, these people are counting on me. I have to be relentless in my pursuit of success to not let down the people that need this income, that need this success. And so it's like, you can find those things that we say business owners need, grit and resilience and tenacity and all those things. You can find those from different strengths because it's how we do things, not what we do.
I'm sorry. I thought Sarah was talking to me. When I hear of those relationship themes, and I think from a business point of view, how did we build? Sarah just exactly rocked it. I have individualization, number one, developer, number two, empathy. My biggest fear is letting the people around me down, right? We have other coaches that work with us, and it drives me becoming more focused, which is very low for me. It drives me to become strategic and partner with my wife or a business coach that we deal with that's strategic. And Sarah, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't really mind which themes you're bringing to the front of the table. We can get you to start up and run a pretty successful business, particularly with the onset of dynamic coaching if required, or dynamic partnering with people that maybe they're bringing something to it that you don't see, because I definitely rely on that. I definitely rely on on our business strategist and my wife and other coaches we have to tell me the things I'm not thinking of, because I'm so knee deep in the relationship side of it that there are some business things that I have to think about, or marketing, or, take the stuff that, for a relationship guy, I'm like, "Ugh, I just don't want to deal with that." But I have to, and we have to make that work. And, Stasi, for you, so under Valatoris, and I kudos to you for a franchise model. You're starting to move into a franchise component for Valatoris, where it goes to How many locations do you have now?
I gotta interrupt you. I'm
It's
sorry.
Victress.
It's Victress.
Oh, Victorous. Okay.
I was
So
like,
Victorous.
Valatoris, what is he talking about?
So I was thinking Valor, So
You
okay.
were
So
close. I actually like that word.
it's not
Yeah.
bad. But
That's the next
Victorious.
business.
Yeah. How many franchises do you have now?
We have 6 locations. 4 of them are corporate owned and 2 are franchises. And so the intention of, we're not like intentionally selling franchises or like, I guess, marketing or putting money or dollars towards selling franchises right now, for the simple fact that process and having the business in a box like prepared for these franchisees is incredibly important.
Sure.
And we are still a fairly new business. I mean, I know we've been around for 7 years, but it has evolved so much. And with change, rapid change, it's very difficult to sell a proof of concept when things are still changing in the business. So basically, the decision to put a franchisor together, this franchise disclosure document, to be able to sell these units, it's a part of the long goal. But right now, we are really just honing in on, let's get everything into place and get these units that we own operating smoothly. Multi-unit management versus managing one unit is a beast. It's so unique. That is where my background and experience lies. So I have the knowledge to be able to do it, but we're in a rapidly evolving industry, and I want to make sure everything's buttoned up before we sell it. It's not that we aren't driving revenue and doing all the things, we are functioning, but we're just not going out and actively selling the franchises yet until we get everything
Well, that leads directly to the question I was going to here, and I love that. So you have a smattering of franchisees that you have interviewed, I assume, to bring on and to run the I believe 4 that you're running outside of your corporate end of it. And you're thinking of the box part of it and how do we expand and make sure that we're really moving forward. Of the 4 that have already come in, or if you're thinking about moving forward, is there a trait you look for in your franchisees, or is there and can you compare that to a strength that you think is a positive way to run Victorious, and what you think that business looks like?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I think they need to have some level of business acumen and be read up on business in general, or have a background in that. In terms of traits, I would say adaptability and ability to move quickly are really, really important. And then also just relationship skills, strong relationship skills, because they're building a community. This is a large part of what we do is entertainment. We are bringing people into a space, they're convening, and we have to make it engaging enough for them to stick around. So their ability to build that community. So to really kind of sum it up, I would say adaptability needs to be strong. High blue, having some high relationship skills, and then some influencing traits, because obviously in order to be able to sell, you need to be able to influence the community around you.
So you have to be in one of the domains. I mean, you really just covered every domain, right?
Not strategy though. They don't need to ideate, because they have I mean, like they don't need the strategy or the ideation. That's why they're buying into it. So I guess I should really like frame it in a way that like I feel like owning a franchise is for someone that just needs to be told exactly what to do, but
And you can do it.
yes. Yep, they're executors. Like
Yeah.
they can take the playbook and put it into motion. So really, it takes a balance of strengths, yes, but I would say that like if they're not high green, it's not necessarily a problem.
I love that. Like to really flesh that out, this idea, like if you feel like you want to run a business, you have the tenacity to stick to something and you want to build something, but you're not that ideator. You're not like, oh, I know the idea, like I've got it. Right? Because there's a lot of times starting a business, it comes from that like kernel of, ooh, this is a thing that I want to do. But if you're like, I don't know what the thing is, I just know I could do it, then maybe franchising is for you because, like you said, like somebody's already thought of the thing. They've already got the kernel and they've built it and they're going to give you a business in a box and then you get to execute on it. Yes, there's going to be some of that building relationships. There's going to be some of that, getting the stuff done and bringing the people in. But if you or your partners can do that, then this could be a really good model for people who are looking to build a business, but just don't know, like, what is the business? I love that. That's a really great insight. It's also making me think about some of the executing themes that I think could get overshadowed in this conversation, like responsibility, discipline, consistency. I could see people looking at the 34 and not pulling those out as like the ones for building a business. But I kind of think that those might be like key, underrated building blocks for like longevity of business because once you get like the initial oomph, like here it all is and everything, and even doing that, there's just like a lot of shit you got to do. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and you got to do your taxes every quarter, and you got to, every year. There's like so much to just do on the business side, and that doesn't even count like running your business. That you kind of need somebody who can just be a good, like, get it done. I know personally for me, I lead with mostly blue and orange. So that's our relationship building, our influencing. But I have responsibility. And I think, wow, if I didn't have that, I probably couldn't have had success with this business because if I tell someone I'm going to do it, I'm going to get it done. If I don't tell someone I'm going to do it, we'll see. I'll probably do it sometime. But like, it's the thing that keeps me accountable. Like I'm a deadline person. Like, let's say when we're going to get it done. Without that, I don't know if my business would be around today. And I wish I had more of that discipline, consistency sometimes to just like do the things you need to do when you're going to do it. So if you have those themes and you're wondering, can I build a business off this? I think that those could be kind of like the sleeping winners of the group as well. Thoughts?
Oh, I mean, consistency is huge. I think that's one thing that I would like if I were to say like an insecurity I had about my strengths, it's being very low consistency. And I would still consider myself a consistent person. Like I am very consistent in showing up, but like I'm like, oh, squirrel, like there's just so much going on in my brain where I bounce from one thing to the next. And I think you're right. Like in order to be, especially like in marketing and customer service as well, like it really does take a lot of consistency. So and responsibility as well. So I totally agree with that.
And I'd even throw focus in there. Being able to sit down and just grind something out and stay on it and know, like, this is the plan. I'm with you. This is why I have no social media marketing strategy because I'm just like, this sounds fun today. Then I'll be like, did I start a series? Should I continue that?
Should I just do this?
But I don't recommend anyone follow my marketing strategy. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm just saying, like, if I had a little bit more of those executing themes, maybe I could like actually stick to something with a little bit more tenacity.
Well, you bring up the responsibility, and Sarah, for you, it's in the bottom of your top 10. For Stasi and I, it's actually in our floor. It's between 11 and 13. And that as you were saying it, it reminded me to go back to the relationship. Because for me, I have my responsibility at number 11. I still feel it. But again, I think it's the I can't let people down that drives the responsibility component when I'm thinking about what I need to get done. So again, I do know I'm living in that people frame so frequently. I like to say my responsibility is I'll stick to it and get it there, but I do think it's driven by the relationship end of it. And Stasi, the fact that you're looking at a lot of blue, a lot of purple to get your franchises off the ground, really, it seems to me that that's a pretty smart way to look at it. It's what you're kind of looking for in the group that might get your brand and your name out there, and you've resonated with how most of these themes, even if it's green, you mentioned business acumen right at the beginning, and most people put the green as part of business acumen, but it doesn't necessarily have to lead to that, right? But you brought up some of those, and I just love that you're willing to look at all of those possibilities to fit in your model.
I agree. And when I'm thinking out about some of the traits that I don't like our franchisees having, it would be high ideation, because you then get people like, you should try this, you should do that, we should do this, or I'm just going to go rogue and do X, Y, and Z. And so I think that, and obviously it's not a bad trait to have, but when you're buying into a franchise system where like you're following a playbook and you have a mission and values that you have to uphold, it just looks a little bit different than a traditional, like, I'm building my own business from scratch.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about ideation and maximizer as franchisees. I can see both of them coming up with, hey, we should do different things. But the maximizer, hey, I'm going to take your box and I'm going to change a bunch of stuff to it. Have you seen that in some of what you've looked at?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So it's interesting because you develop systems and processes and then you deploy them when you have proof of concept that they work, right? And so you also learn from your own failures. Like, there are a lot of things that we've implemented in our business over time that have been because we've failed. We also invest resources in certain things that we implemented to the business. And so when they're deployed to a franchisee, they don't know or see or have any context to any of that. They just see, like, okay, this is how they want us to do this. But then if they have a brilliant idea or they think something's going to work using those green strengths or their maximizer, they automatically will come back with feedback, which I do appreciate it because I have blind spots. I get it, right? Like, I always say 5 brains are better than 1, right? I do appreciate the feedback. But 9 times out of 10, there's reasoning behind the decisions that we've made in terms of how we're implementing in the franchises. And sometimes it has to do with, like, the fact that we are multi-unit and we have to be able to keep it simple and manage across multiple different locations. And so it's a unique relationship because they do own the business. And this is a debate that I've had on my social media platform. Like, is a franchisee an entrepreneur? I don't know. Like, they're taking a financial risk that is similar to entrepreneurship, but would you tie that to them being, like, truly a visionary entrepreneur? Like, they're just two totally different things. And I see it from a different lens because we are franchisees. My husband runs a restaurant, and that is a very, very specific brand with a specific way of doing business. And so they definitely have their own, his family has their own spin to how they deliver the product, but the product is always the same. Like, it does not change, and it's very consistent. And so it's just a unique, I sit in a unique seat because I see both sides.
Yeah, it does make me think, I feel like we're really drawing the distinction, what you're saying, between entrepreneur and business owner, because I think you're right. Like, when I think entrepreneur, I'm thinking someone who started something from scratch. That may or may not be right. I don't know. And business owner is someone owning a business. And so I've always thought the same thing. You're talking about franchise owners. I've thought the same thing about real estate agents, insurance people, wealth managers, when they own their business, their book of business, but they are part of essentially like a franchise business where a lot of stuff is pushed down to them. And again, that is not better or worse in any means, but yeah, that distinction of like, what is it that you have to bring to the table? It can look a little different if you're starting Joe Moe's yogurt shop versus, Yogurtini's yogurt shop.
Well, I have a really good friend of mine that he runs what's called Emerald Franchise Group, and he represents something like 250, 270 franchise models. And his job is to connect the right person to the right model. If you want to be a franchisee, come in, he'll interview you. His process is to get to know you as a human being and then start talking about franchises. And his first note when he talks to people is franchising is not fast food. Everybody comes and says, I want to be a franchisee. Is it fast food? And so often it's no, it is so, there's home services, there's healthcare, there's so many things in this. I would be really curious to ask John, are your franchisees entrepreneurs or are they business owners?
Yeah.
So you've sparked that in my mind to talk to them, and just that'll come up in one of our debates coming up, Sarah. I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
I'll say, hey, I managed to check in, saw what that was.
So I want to move us to our LinkedIn poll. So I had to get creative with this one. So on LinkedIn, I asked the audience, if you had to pick just one strength as the ultimate business builder, which would it be? Now, I couldn't use Clifton strengths in this because you only get 4 options on LinkedIn. So, I did big picture vision, relentless execution, building strong relationships, and staying adaptable. And here's what the audience had to say. Under big picture vision, 0. Goose egg. Nobody voted for it, which I think is fascinating. Relentless execution had 19%. Building strong relationships came in with the major winner at 69%, and staying adaptable at 13%.
Boom. I just dropped the pen.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't disagree with that. And here's why. I feel like, and there have been studies. If someone is emotionally connected to the product or service that you're selling, they're way more susceptible to spending money with you.
Yeah.
And staying consistent in that relationship. So I do believe relationship building and that connectedness with the individual that's either buying your service or product is so incredibly important. And then it also ties back to your team.
Yeah.
In my case, and I've been talking about this a lot lately, like it's unique because we manage a community of people. It's not just like service product and you never see the person again. And, you have to build relationships.
Yeah.
And over time, especially as we've continued to grow, it's pulled us in different directions, which has really been at the detriment of our ability as leaders to stay connected to all of the people in the community. And so it's like, how do you continue to do that when you have so many people that, are a part of this big ecosystem, right?
Right.
And so I 100%, that result does not surprise me at all whatsoever.
What it makes me think of a lot is influencers. Why do you think we're all online? We're fascinated with humans, and an influencer, which is a major job in our economy right now, is someone building relationships online with people and then hawking their products. And I'm susceptible to it all the time. I would like to think that I'm not, but I keep interacting with so-and-so influencer. I keep seeing their stuff and they keep using this, liquid hydration, whatever. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, I think I got to get that.
I gotta own it. Yeah,
it's not the exact same of like the in-person relationship, but that's what they're doing. Like we are getting a lot of that through there. So like, I think when you think about the rise of influencers as a job, it's they're building connection and relationship in a way with people and then able to sell them things because you trust. It's like, know, and trust. I now trust you. And I think it's fascinating of what you're talking about the in real life, you run a gym, and that is, the community aspect of it, and just the awareness that you have to have, that not only to build the business, to get people in the door, do you have to be able to build relationships, but once they're in the door, to sustain them and keep them there. I almost think it's probably like at work, like when we're working, we need a best friend at work. We're going to stay at a job longer when we like our boss. That's because of that relationship component. Well, if I'm going to a gym and working out, I'm probably more likely to show up if I have a best friend at the gym, or if I have a personal connection to my coach, right? Like if I know people are going to be expecting me, hey, you weren't at class yesterday. Where were you at? What were you doing? That is going to make me show up and keep coming and not quit going. Do you agree?
Oh my God, yeah. And we talk about it all the time, and it's something that like we're trying to like get reconnected with. We've had a lot of change. The co-founder that I started the business with just recently left like completely, so she's not involved
Oh,
with the business at all anymore. And so, that dynamic of like the shift of leadership and reconnecting with the community in a meaningful way, because the whole reason behind what we do is about them. It's about
Right.
the people. And I think over time, like I said, as we've grown, that's been difficult to keep at the forefront, because you're focusing on the project and getting X, Y, and Z done, and you're being pulled in so many different directions. And if we're not managing the people that are face to face with these employees or these members on a day-to-day basis, that connection can be frayed. And it's been such a learning experience over the past 6 years to see it. When it was smaller, it was a lot easier to manage. But then when you have hundreds and hundreds of people and you're trying to like keep that camaraderie together, it just becomes, okay, how do I do this in a meaningful way and still make sure that they feel connected to the mission, if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
I
so
can really
good.
hear the balance, right? The balance of like, we need the process and strategy in place to grow this and to be able to franchise it and to show other people how to grow it. But wow, we also need to make sure we're training those frontline people and we're hiring people who are building relationships, because we can't be like boots on the ground building all the relationships anymore. There's just too many. So it's like the trickle down and making sure. I can see how hiring is so important, and looking for those relationship builders who are in front of the members every day.
Absolutely.
Well said. And by the way, this Sarah Soapbox moment has been brought to you by Patagonia today. Patagonia sent us some clothing.
Yeah, I wish it was.
Nothing. I don't know who made your vest. Otherwise, I would have thrown
Old
it.
Navy.
It's so old. I don't know. Who
It's
made
such
it.
a good vest. That is a
I
great
think it's
vest.
actually
by the way.
J. Crew.
Is
But
it? It's
we're not
cute.
going to give any of those brands. Nobody paid me. So
Nobody pays us.
for
Nobody
all
pays
you
us
care, it's
anything.
Amazon, okay?
All right. So Stasi, here's another question. That through line we just threw out there's a funny moment, but here's a good one for you. Thinking about the businesses you've run, thinking about the franchising model that you do, thinking about what you're doing. When are you in a firework moment? Like when is everything hitting at all levels? The fireworks are going off, and what theme, what strength are you using at that point when that's happening?
Really, honestly, it's when I see a woman come into her strength, and this is across all of the platforms that we are providing. Just hearing, whether it's like, I'll just give an example, someone like posting on social media about how much strength they've gained during their pregnancy. I'm just using that as an example because we do have a member right now that's like pretty much documenting her entire pregnancy story in the gym. And I know what it's like to have that feeling of empowerment in that stage of life where it is kind of a vulnerable stage of life. And so to see women step into their power, that is like, they get it. They're like, it's like a aha moment for them. And I would also say, so that would be one thing. And the other thing would be women that come in and, we have these 3 pillars or these 3 verticals. So we have the gym, the clinical support, and then now the app. Having women come in and want to be involved in all, like, how can I get involved in all of this? Like, I need to be a part of this. Tell me what you want me to do. Like, and it's just interesting to see how needed these resources are and how willing women are to just really like be vulnerable and say like, I get it. Like, I understand what you're trying to do, and please use me to, like, whatever it is. Like, we have 3 people that are working on this app with us right now that are like, I don't even care if I get paid. I'm here for it. Sign me up. And I'm like, well, we're going to pay you, but they just want to be a part of the mission. And I think that is a firework moment for me, is just like hearing other women's their why and understanding that they want to be a part of what we're doing, just for the betterment of society and impact on the community.
Well, as a coach, I would take a stab and have some ideas around which themes you're using when that is a firework moment for you. I mean, I hear the achiever, I hear the strategic, I hear the competition, the activator, all of those align. What theme is it that you think, or is it a combination of all of them? Or is there a specific one that when you're really in that zone is the one that's really hitting for you?
I think it's all of them. I think it's like really the culmination. I think a firework moment to me, the way that I'm thinking of it, is like they're all working cohesively together to provide that result. And so it's like, yes, like we have achieved it. We have achieved greatness.
This is what we're working for.
Yeah. And I think that like recognizing that it's not just one thing, it's like really a culmination of all of it together, that's bringing that explosion.
Yeah. Okay, on the flip side, when do you feel like your strengths put you into the dumpster fire? Where do you feel like you will flounder based on your talents?
I think competition can get in the way sometimes, where I get caught up on things that I shouldn't get caught up on, or like I don't want to call it a spiral, because I'm fairly emotionally intelligent, so I can usually pull myself out of it. But I think sometimes I'll like get into this like frustration of people not like when it's the opposite of that, or that like we get negative feedback, like, oh, I didn't get the best quality coaching, or this isn't for me. I like Orange Theory. I'm leaving. Like, I'm going to use that as an example, because Victor's is not for everyone, and that's okay. But sometimes it frustrates, and I don't know what strength this is, but it'll frustrate me to the point where I'm like, why don't you like this? Like, this is amazing. Like,
probably your competition.
Oh, yeah. I see the competition, right? Somebody mentions Orange Theory, and you're like, wait a minute. Right?
And then my mind goes to like, how can I strategically change their mind? Like, how can I convince them otherwise? Like, how do I need to educate it? Because it does come back to education and like getting them to understand like the science behind it. But I would say that that's probably where I get frustrated, is like if we lose members and there's like a consistent theme of like why they're leaving, it can get pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I could totally see that.
I'm curious on your end, because we're stepping into wrapping up here, but as I listen to you and I realize how much you are hyping the relationship components around business, it strikes me that you really only have 2 relationship themes in your top, 24. And they're not in your top 5. They are individualization and relator, which are in your top 10, but they're not in your top 5. As opposed to someone like me, I have them all in the top 14 and, most of them in the top 10. Do you think spotting that for good business people is something you've had to learn because it's not something you brought to the forefront right away, or do you find that you're still really relying on those relationship themes to do it inherently, and that's how you look at this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a session with Sarah probably about 2 years ago with our entire team, and my team is very high blue, like all of them. And so it is, and I think it's important. Obviously, I think that if me not being as strong in the blue category, having the people on my team that can kind of drive that forward and putting the ball in their court to ensure that those relationships are being built is so important.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say though, I've taken strengths a couple times, and individualization and relator used to be in my top 5, and as
Yeah.
I've gotten older, they've dropped. So actually competition and activator moved up, so the influencing traits moved up. So it's unique because I feel like I've gotten more like selective in the relationship building piece as I've gotten older, and I also think having a family and being so like knee deep in like the building aspect of the business that it just hasn't been as much of a priority.
And I can echo that based on what I know about your business. So correct me if I'm wrong, but when you started the business, especially Victorous, you were really the business side of it. And Stacy was really the coach. She was the one in front of people. So you from the jump were like behind the scenes. And that doesn't mean you weren't forward facing with people, because obviously when it started it was small.
Yeah.
And as it's gone and it's grown and you've franchised it and you've had these other business components, you're really the brains behind the business. So those relationships that you have, I do think that like your individualization comes out in the consulting, right? You can look at a person, you can build that relationship, but you don't have to be the one out there like wooing people and really bringing them in. That's not your role for your business. You just have to make sure you're hiring the people, especially now as you've grown it, that do know how to build those relationships. And I could see those dropping down because you're not having to engage in those as much anymore, especially like you said with the season of motherhood and building. And, you're probably behind a computer a lot more because you're having to do the process and the meetings and the Zooms. And so it's like that relationship component, you're not flexing that muscle as much anymore, as much as you are those strategic thinking themes and a little bit of that influencing. Like you have to be doing that more. So I can see the shift, which I'm not too worried about. Like, I consider anything your top 10 your talents. You still have access to those. But I would say the reason the muscles are bigger with the ideation, strategic and achiever for you is because that's what you have to lean on now, because you've got to move this ship.
Yeah, very well said. I also feel like I also need to be able to make hard decisions. And if I let if I let like my personal relationships with people drive those decisions, sometimes it leads to making the wrong decision or not making a decision fast enough. Because when you're in a building phase, it's so important to move fast. And the longer you let, like, maybe it's a toxic person, or and I'm just total examples here, like it could create way bigger problems in your business in the long term. So like not getting too connected to a certain extent, and having very strong relational boundaries between work, like professionalism, and then that personal relationship, I think is super important. But yeah, I think you're right. Like the muscles change over time depending upon how you need to use them.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Stasi, thank you so much for coming in and being really open and talking about your businesses, what you're leading to. I'm excited to see how Victorous turns out, and your new gym offering, Valatoris, which I think should be another stupendous hit for so many coming in. But thank you so much for your time. We're going to release you to go work on all of the many, many, many businesses you and your husband own, and keep up with that. And we want to thank you for your time today. And thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
No, we love it. All right. And with that, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you to Stasi for coming in. Thank you to our arsonists for listening. And we will talk soon.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Strengths on Fire. If today's conversation sparked something in you, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. We're here bringing you fresh insights to fuel your growth and ignite your potential. Remember, your strengths are powerful, so let's keep the fire burning.
And if you're looking to transform your organization through strengths-based strategies and coaching, reach out to Sarah Collins, founder of Collins Collective, or Bill Dipple, founder of Bill Dipple Strengths Coaching. Connect with Sarah at wearecollinsco.com. Follow her on Instagram at SarahCoachCollins, or email her at sarah@wearecollinsco.com, SARAH. You can reach Bill at BillDipple.com, Bill, DIPPEL.com, or on Instagram at BillDippleCoach, or email him at bill@BillDipple.com.
Please note the opinions, views, and interpretations of Clifton Strengths expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts and the guests. They have not been approved, sanctioned, or endorsed by Gallup in any way.
Until next time, keep your strengths on fire and let's light up what's possible together. Bye, Bill.
Bye, Sarah.